friends, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Fort Worth Roots.
One person that I know of came from Oklahoma City just to see the Wienermobile. There's another one that I don't know if they made it, but I know that we got a phone call from a lady that said she was going to bring her grandkids up from Austin when she heard about the Wienermobile. So, and I've already had a dozen people ask if it's coming back. We have certainly invited them, but they haven't confirmed yet.
Yeah. You can find Fort Worth Roots on all your favorite streaming services, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and more. And it's the same for all the social medias as well. Just look up Fort Worth Roots. Today's guest is a long-running supporter of the Fort Worth Roots podcast and a friend of ours. He's been on the show several times, and today we sit down to primarily just talk about the River Oaks Springfest car show that's happening at YMCA Camp Carter this year, April 22nd. Last year, they had over 7,000 people attend before they stopped counting heads. Over 330 classic cars, 80-something vendors, and this year it's going to be even bigger. There's going to be food trucks, lots of activities like canoeing and ziplining and horseback riding. More details on this can be found at riveroakspringfest.com. You can also find them on Facebook as River Oaks Springfest Car Show. And they are still looking for vendors, I believe. But you can go to the website, riveroakspringfest.com, and at the top right, from a mobile device, there is a tab with a drop-down for registration. Check that out. And if you got a classic car, you want to bring it out. Last year, 300. They're expecting a lot more this year, 330. Stay tuned to the very end. We talk about more events that are coming up, our sponsors that sponsor the Fort Worth Roots podcast, local businesses here that need your support. And if you yourself have a local business here in the Fort Worth area that is respected by our community, we want to hear from you because we're looking for more sponsorship. It's not too late to get on board before we have our two biggest events of the year. If you'd like to talk to us about becoming a sponsor of the Fort Worth Roots podcast or information on why this is the smartest way to spend your advertising dollar here in Fort Worth, Texas, send us an email at media@fortworthroots.com. We have sponsorship options that will fit anybody's budget, trust me. All right, that's enough talking out of me. Thank you for being here, and please give it up for my dear friend, Mr. Darren Houk. And let's start the show. Darren Houk in studio here at the Fort Worth Roots studio. I said studio twice. It's a little repetitive.
All right, Andrew, thank you for having me.
Man, thank you for being here. Hey, push that mic just a little closer to your mouth. Excellent. You're no rookie. You've done this before.
Yeah, I guess so. Still can't get used to it.
Darren has done so much for the Fort Worth Roots podcast, and I tell all about once a week I mention that you're not just a sponsor. You and Tanya are my friends.
It's good to have you as a friend. We certainly enjoyed the relationship.
Likewise.
Love what you're doing here.
We're trying harder and harder every day to make this something that people want to tune into and listen to and establish ourselves as someone in the community that people tune into to get information. So
everything I see, it looks like it's growing pretty rapidly.
Yeah, it honestly, I see it too through the analytics and the numbers, and I don't think I could be where I am right now without you. So thank you.
You're way too kind.
No, I mean it, man.
But we, it's hard, to me, it's hard to really see all that. And I don't know about your listeners, whether they realize that whatever the number of listeners, or in my case, I watch it on YouTube on the big screen.
Yeah.
But, when you see the numbers up there, you're only seeing how many people have looked at it through that.
Yeah. And it looks pretty marginal to the viewers, to the listeners that try to see where our analytics are at. Really, all they can do is go to YouTube, because that's the only one that's got public numbers, and that is by far the least listened to platform. And it looks pretty dismal, but even YouTube has been picking up.
Well, and your listeners should really know that they're missing a lot on some episodes, not necessarily all of them, but there's a lot of episodes where you've got a lot of good video to go along with it, or photographs. So that's why I enjoy seeing it that way.
I know for me, whenever I started listening to podcasts, I enjoyed just getting the audio, because I'd be working all day and I would devour 8 to 10 hours of podcast material a day, and I didn't have time to look at a video. But every once in a while, something would happen in the recording and I'd be like, oh, I need to see what they're talking about. So I'd go and I'd check out the YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
So there's some people like me out there that probably utilize it the same way, but then other people chiefly enjoy YouTube as the platform for this kind of thing.
Well, I get a lot of people listen to it in the car when they're driving.
Yeah.
And I don't do that as much as I once did. So
Yeah, better to not have video on while operating the motor vehicle.
That's true, yes.
Before we got too far into this, I wanted to ask you about that place. We just went and had lunch. What was the name of that place?
Josefina's,
and it's right next to Boulevard Brew.
Yep, on River Oaks Boulevard. I guess that would be about 5400 block of River Oaks Boulevard.
Big, long building.
Neat little strip center where we've got a lot of exciting things have moved in. I think probably the oldest thing there is maybe Josefina's only been there 2 years. So Chris Franks bought that building and completely remodeled everything. So we have Cherry on Top Catering, which is a great catering place. They used to have I guess they're the oldest one there now. They used to have a little cafe there, but they didn't reopen after COVID.
Okay, so it's gone.
No, it's there. They have a booming business. I've been to a couple of events where they were doing their thing. It's just having the little cafe is not their deal. It's the kitchen that they use for cooking.
Yeah.
But then we've got Atomic Then and Now is next door to that, which is a really funky little mid-century modern, mostly furniture, but it's got all kinds of knickknacks and stuff.
They've got stuff you won't find at any other store.
Absolutely, for sure.
It's got unique covered.
And he's told me several times that they're just doing a great. Their sales are through the roof. They've got people coming from all over the state that are seeing it and come by there. So I like to see them surviving as well.
Yeah, and one of our sponsors, Wood Post Metalworks, has got some artwork on the wall in there, and it's been moving pretty fast apparently.
Yeah, it does. They've got some mid-century modern kind of that boomerang look and some of those kind of images, and then they custom made some addresses so that you can go in there and order that mid-century modern look, but have your address or your name in the middle of it, which is one of the things that they got started with.
So for that would just be like an example on the wall, and you can see it and go, "Oh, I want one of those for mine."
They've got a couple of them you can, that aren't addresses, obviously, that you can just leave with that are like artwork. But then they've got a display set up there with a couple of examples that you can have it custom made to your colors, your address or your name, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Cool. I'll have to go check it out. But I really want Wood Post Metalwork here in studio, both of them, right here, recording with me, because we got some ideas for the studio, and we're going to need their help.
That's Ryan Wendell. Do you hear that, Ryan? You need to get out here.
We'll be sharing this clip with him, huh?
That's for sure. I'll make sure that Ryan and Mickey both hear this.
Good.
I'm just so happy for them. They've done such an awesome job getting where they've got to, starting out with a hobby and making the leap to full time, and it's working. They're doing a great job. They have a hard time. I have a hard time getting anything from them because they get backlogged. But
they definitely been cranking out social media posts with all their new designs and signs that they've been putting up for businesses and stuff like that. So certainly looks like they're busy.
And then they've got don't they have a discount code for you?
Oh yeah. Podcast 817.
Podcast 817.
You go to woodpostmetalworks.com, and I will have said that at the end of this episode too, and it's in the show notes. But yeah, you can use podcast 817 at checkout, get 10% off.
Cool.
This is just one big ad.
That's right. Well, I was going to go on down the strip center.
What else we got down there?
Well, we got a Taper's Barbershop, which is one of those cool modern day men's barbershop that does all the tapered haircuts and all that. But it's really cool with the toolbox drawers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I know when I've got my haircut there, they, offer you a brew if you want one while you're getting your hair done and all that.
The next place I'm going to try out is Blurberry down the street.
Blurberry does a great job. I just love those guys. So yeah, that's the same kind of style. It's over there where River Oaks Cafe is in that strip center.
Yeah.
And they seem to be doing good. I don't know how to measure that. I really haven't watched, but I poke my head in there all the time. We did a ribbon cutting for them. As you know, you were there, as a matter of fact.
I got invited by...
And I just really like those guys. So I pop in to see how they're doing, and they can't ever talk because they're cutting somebody's hair.
That's good.
Yeah, looks like they're keeping busy. And they entered in the River Oaks Christmas parade, and
They had a float?
Yeah, they put their
Nice.
barber chairs on the float. I never did see. I was in the parade, so I didn't see it going down the road. I don't know if they were cutting hair or what, but those are big old.
That's hilarious.
You know, they're big old antique looking barber chairs that they put in there. So
well, after the ribbon cutting, I think I'd asked him to maybe guest on the show just to get the perspective of a new business owner, because this is, as far as I understand, that's his first time in business, and
and they're
they're
young,
excited,
couple.
and
Yeah, he had a little bit of this is his. I don't know where he worked before, but he's been cutting hair. But he's very young.
Yeah,
I don't
he is.
know. I'd hate to say an age. And
I
be
don't know
wrong
either.
about it, but
you're right, young.
But he had a little bit of a clientele with him already.
That's
and it
excellent.
looks like he's staying busy. Both of those places are. So I guess that's the end thing now. Going back to
People got to get their hair cut.
old style barbershops. You know?
Yeah, no, it's a community outing now. And the last place I went to, and shame on me, I can't remember the name of it, but it's out on the other side of town, kind of south of Magnolia on 8th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I go in there, it is packed. But they've got, I want to say they have 10 different stylists, maybe more. There might be 12 or 14. But it's just a haircutting place right there.
Right.
And they're always busy.
And both of these are set up that way. They've got a lot of chairs. I don't know that I've never seen somebody working all of them at once.
That
so
takes
I don't
time.
know if they have different people that come and go out of there or not. But
Once he gets established and he can kind of bring more people in, I'm sure those chairs will fill up fast.
right.
I'm still digesting lunch.
Josephina's. That was good.
Trying not to burp into the mic. Let's talk about last year's car show, the River Oaks Springfest Car Show 2022. This was the first time that you'd put it on, and by any measure, it was an absolute success. I don't think we got a super accurate head count, but I know there were 300 classic cars out there. I think there might have been close to 60 or 70 vendors.
There was 80 vendors.
80 vendors.
I've got
okay.
a little more information since the last time we talked about it. 330 show cars.
Dang.
80 vendors.
Beautiful show
I think
cars.
we're going to have more than 100 vendors this year. Hopefully a lot more than 330 cars. But nowadays, 330 cars is a good-sized show, especially for a first-time event.
Yeah.
Texas Motor Speedway has some of these national shows where they bring in a couple of thousand, but these kind on this level, that's kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
But we had somebody counting heads coming in the door, and I didn't realize that until just a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
And they said they got over 7,000 counted when they quit counting at 2 o'clock, and that was only counting spectators. So that didn't include the people that came in the 330 cars.
Oh, my
That
God.
didn't count the hundreds of volunteers that we had. It didn't include the 80 pop-up vendors, and most of those had 2 people. So I think we're probably over 10,000 people there at the show.
And the volunteers. And
In River Oaks, there's only 7,500 people, so that's pretty good.
You had 2 police departments.
That's right.
I mean, okay.
The cooperation really, the city of River Oaks jumped on board quickly. YMCA, Metropolitan YMCA and Camp Carter got involved. They embraced it. Castleberry ISD, man, you want to talk about hard-working volunteers and quantity. I don't know what we'd have done without them. They just came in droves, and we weren't sure that we were ever even going to do another one. And the feedback from them and everybody else was kind of like, I'd have to move out of town if we didn't do it again.
Darren, 7,000 people is insane. That's easily 9 times bigger than the population of River Oaks.
Well, no. What now?
What's
River Oaks is 7,500.
Okay,
we had about 10,000 there.
so?
But
Everybody
7,500.
turned out.
Yeah. So, obviously it was a lot more, all over the Metroplex.
Did you?
And they did. We had somebody. So we had the Wienermobile there.
Right.
The
Yep.
best.
Got
the
lots
best
of pictures
thing
of
I've ever
that.
done. So we had one person that I know of came from Oklahoma City just to see the Wienermobile. There's another one that I don't know if they made it, but I know that we got a phone call from a lady that said she was going to bring her grandkids up from Austin when she heard about the Wienermobile. So, and I've already had a dozen people asked if it's coming back. We have certainly invited them, but they haven't confirmed yet.
Yeah.
But
Probably not.
probably not. I don't. We didn't. They called us last year,
Yeah.
and it was kind of funny. They're like, "We're going to be in Louisiana. Do you mind if we drop by?" Mm-hmm. Well, Louisiana to River Oaks is not dropping by,
Right?
But
It's very intentional.
yeah, that's
you don't
right.
get there by accident. Well, and you and I think Mickey have reached out to plenty of organizations that have something kind of in line with the Oscar Mayer Wienerville Mobile. So there's going to be some interesting stuff out there.
I hope so. Yes, we've reached to several. Nobody's confirmed, so I'm not going to advertise for them until they.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, but
And last year, I think there were either 2 or 3 food trucks out there last year, and they
supposed to be
all ran out of food.
there's supposed to be 5. 2 no-showed us. That was an interesting thing too. These food trucks started out when we were calling people. There were some of them that wanted guarantees of $2,000. We don't know what's going to. I knew it was going to be a large event. This is not my first car show by any means. It's not even my first large show, but so I was expecting a lot, but we try to take care of people like that. We don't want to have 2 barbecue trucks or 2 Mexican or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So we were careful about that, but 2 didn't show up. This year, I think we've had 100 calls from people that want to be involved now that they see what it can do, and I think they've gotten. I've gotten calls with people that say, "Oh, my aunt gave me your number, said we've got to be there." Y'all had a ton of people.
Yeah.
And so they ran out of food. This year we've got 5, at least 5. I think we have 5 regular food trucks, and then we have a couple other that are, like last year we had a lemonade stand. I think they're coming back.
Well, on 2 accounts, running out of food was not y'all's fault because, one, there was a lot of people that showed up, and you didn't know that it was going to be that big of a success.
Right.
And then 2, you also had food trucks that were supposed to be there that didn't quite make it.
Well, and for the food trucks, what we tried to explain to all of those is that, we had, I don't know, 150 or so. I don't even remember now. 150 cars signed up in advance.
Yeah.
So we knew weeks ahead of time that we were going to have at least 150 cars. I think we had 80. The vendors sold out like within a couple of weeks. I think we had like 80 vendors booths. So you figure that's, 1 or 2 people for each car, 1 or 2 people for each booth, sometimes more than that. If nobody else showed up, they're there, and in both cases, they're stranded.
And they got to eat.
Yeah.
They need the food.
I mean, you can't, if you're driving your classic car there and setting it up and
yeah, you're not going
to
anywhere.
show, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Same thing with if you're working a booth, so.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what else is going to be different this year than from last year?
Well, Grumps will be open, so that's going to be exciting. So if you
Right,
remember
yeah.
on Friday night,
Police escort.
we'll have a police escorted cruise. We did it last year. They were supposed to open, but they had a lot of delays, so they brought their food truck out to their own parking lot and gave out samples.
That's right.
And it was packed. I think it was pretty overwhelming for everybody.
Shout out to the River Oaks Police Department because they managed the intersections flawlessly.
That's right.
Which was mind-blowing to me that they had such a great grasp on that because there were so many people. And the time of day that we did this wasn't necessarily rush hour, but it wasn't exactly not rush hour.
Well, it was Friday night at 6:30. I guess we probably pulled out of there at 6:30. So you're at the dinner hour of people going places on a Friday night.
And to the people that were just trying to get down the street and we got in their way, it was probably quite the inconvenience.
Well, nobody likes a parade that's
not wanting to be there.
Not wanting to be behind it, yes. But, that's what we do at the cruise. People think of it as a parade, but we do go a little bit faster. It's probably 15 to 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So we get on through those intersections faster.
Yeah.
It was cool because there's a lot of people that knew we were coming, so they were all sitting out on the side. But then you'd also see, a lot of guys were honking their horns going through there, revving their motors a little bit, and you'd see people all of a sudden sticking their heads out of the front door. Like, what in the heck is going on out here?
And I was on the motorcycle, and I didn't want to become annoying to the people around me because, we're driving in a group. Mm-hmm. So I'd get on the horn a little bit. I'd rev up my little I think it's a 700cc motor, or 900. It's 900.
Right.
Anyway, just trying to be as cool as I could and make as much noise without being too annoying.
You were cool.
Okay.
Me.
All right. As long as you say so.
That's right. Absolutely.
Wanted to talk to you a little bit about the sponsors this year. We've had some awesome people contribute to this and help us make it a success. But you have, correct me if I'm wrong, but every single sponsor that was with us last year is on board again this year.
That's right.
That's awesome.
And you know, I've done that a few times before too, and it's usually you have to sell them a little bit. And this time I had several people calling to make sure, you know, what is your date this year? You are doing that, right? We want to be involved. I hadn't heard from you. Well, it's December.
Yeah.
So, and I don't even think we said that. It's April 21st and 22nd, 2023, in case this recording stays out there for.
Well, I'm gonna release this one and the Joe Guzman one in the same week. I'll probably do this one on Monday for a regular release, and then I'll put Joe Guzman's out there on Thursday, because people need to know about these two awesome events. We've got this one, and we've also got the Psychedelic Panther.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And so April is going to be a busy month for people listening to Fort Worth Roots. We got two amazing festivals.
I got to get out to the Psychedelic Panther. I heard a lot about it last year, mostly from you, but
excellent.
It sounded like it was a real event. Yeah. So,
and this year it'll be at Lola's, because Mass is gone now. Main at Southside closes doors shortly after that festival.
And I think I'm the only person in Fort Worth that never went to Mass.
There's a lot of
it can't be that much better than Lola's. I mean, Lola's is.
There's a lot of people shaking their heads right now, sir.
Oh yeah,
Main at Southside has a special place in everybody's heart.
Right.
It was iconic.
Right.
And a lot of people really love that place. It's too bad it closed down. But yeah, the new Lola's is amazing. And as far as aesthetics and space, and for every practical reason, it is a better space than Mass. But yeah, I think everybody wishes that it could be at Main at Southside again this year.
Right.
But yeah, this will be way better. So,
and they're gone for good, right? They didn't just relocate or anything.
Somebody else is already in the process of reopening the place under another name with a different mission or idea for the place.
Right.
So we'll have to see what comes of that. But yeah, April's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's everything we need for this episode. So what I'm going to do is tie this one up, and then we're going to start talking about roofing a little bit.
That's exciting. We're going to talk about cars.
Are you ready to talk about some cars?
I do want to shout out to Monty Kuhn at Moritz. He called me right before I came in here telling me that he was that they were excited to be a new sponsor. So
Knuckles.
They're not near as excited as I am. We're glad to have them.
All right, and do you want to run through that real quick? Tell people who's sponsoring the River Oak Springfest Car Show 23.
Well, of course, Grumps is our main sponsor, and them and Street Side Classics. And I want to mention Street Side Classics.
Yeah.
If anybody out there is into classic cars, they should. Well, I drug you out there one day, so it is a cool place, whether you're shopping for a car or if you just like cars. It's like going into an indoor climate-controlled car show
museum.
And then the thing that's cool is there's prices on there. So you know, in my case, I look at something, I used to have an old car like that, and
should have hung on to it.
Right. All of a sudden something I think is worth $10,000 is worth $100,000, and something I think could be worth $100,000 is maybe worth $10,000.
I'm glad that you kind of drug me in there, though, because that's absolutely a Fort Worth hidden gem.
No,
I didn't know it was there. I've never heard of it, but when you go in there, you're like, damn, this has been here the whole time, and I had no idea.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Very cool. What else you got there?
Vernon's Automotive. They're one of our local mechanics here in River Oaks. Okay. It's Vernon's Alignment down on White Settlement Road in the River District.
Okay.
And they've been there forever. They work on modern cars as well as they are car people, and they work on a bunch of old ones. It's kind of like going in. Usually you go by there's something pretty cool out there. I don't know who all those customers are, but there's a lot of them.
Is that right there in front of all those new apartments?
Yes, exactly. Yep. And we've picked up some of these new people here in River Oaks. Blurberry that you mentioned earlier, the barbershop, and Atomic Then and Now. We talked about them. And Cowtown Nutrition is a new place that hadn't been open too long.
That's in the next building over from Atomic.
They sell shakes and nutritious shakes and teas and things like that. And really great people. They've fixed up the inside of that little building. It's just cute as can be. And then we were talking about the other strip center was Josefina's Boulevard Brew. Has signed up to be part of it. They've got a new owner there now.
Garrett, I've met him. Great dude. Very cool.
Isn't he cool? Nice guy.
We've got a Boulevard Brew sticker right here on the glass case.
Well, that's what I noticed right when we went on the air. He told me that he had a new logo that he wanted to use, in fact, for this event, and I hadn't gotten the logo yet.
Looks good.
And there it is. It is good. He took the old logo and put it in a state of Texas shape to, I guess, kind of represent the new owners. But,
y'all can
and
see
that's a cool place. The inside of that is fixed up. I think really cool. It's kind of ironic that the mid-century modern is just down the way now, because that's the way they designed that one. It's got mid-century modern furniture and atomic lights and that kind of stuff.
Might have had a little bit of an influence there, Atomic being right there. And
right?
Maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, but we're...
Last question I got about the event. For the people that are listening to this, they're going to want to know where they need to go to buy tickets. Is there a website?
It's free admission.
Oh, it's free?
For anybody spectators.
Oh, it doesn't cost a thing to just come and check this amazing event out?
And, we didn't really talk about all the other things there are to do. So we met yesterday with Casper SD and YMCA and some of that. So we got some confirmations that they will have horseback riding. They will have canoe. You can canoe, stand-up paddleboard. They had their zip line. Will be going again. Their obstacle course.
Were they doing all that last year?
They were doing all that last year.
Okay. We were just too busy to see it.
That's exactly right. You're correct. And then I understand Fort Worth Roots is going to be out there doing podcasts.
That's right. We'll be event coverage. We'll be there all day. We'll be setting up early and breaking down late and helping clean up the mess afterwards.
And really one of the best places to get a good idea of what this thing looked like. I'm normally the guy that takes photos and videos and all that, and then I just chase my tail all day long and didn't even see the car show. I had to go back and look at videos to see it. But I was going to say, your podcast is, even if you've heard it, it's a good one to go on to YouTube, because there's some great videos and photos in there of overall what all was going on. That's including all the cool cars.
That's actually
Johnny Rutherford was there, the IndyCar champion that's here from River Oaks, and he's already said he's going to be back this year with his. He had a car, 34 Ford, that was just finished like 2 weeks after Springfest last year. So
a 1934 Ford
street ride.
I'm gonna want to see that.
It is beautiful.
Wow.
It's like Ferrari red. I guess Ford red in his case, I don't know, but
things closing in on a century old.
Right?
It's wild.
It's more like less than a year old if you really look at it. So, I'm sure the body's a 34 Ford, but everything else is will drive nicer than your brand new car.
It's got
sure.
GPS and Bluetooth.
That's right. Yeah,
all that good stuff.
But you can tell it's done right. He had it pro built, so it will be one of the outstanding cars. I can assure you. But
as we're sitting here talking about stuff, I just had this goofy idea, and I don't know that it'll be ready, but should I bring the mobile podcast studio to this?
That would be awesome.
That'd be cool?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay. Well, this will be the first time
it's been out. That'd be the perfect time to break it in.
Yeah. Well, it still needs a lot of work, but I think it'd be cool to bring it. I mean, it's a car show, right?
It's a goal to get it ready.
Yeah. Oh, hell, it won't be ready by then. But we can bring it anyway.
Else. Yeah, that's right.
And talk about it, and people can see it. Last event that we did, I had a big banner on the side of it, and we'll do the same thing this year. That'll be cool.
Right.
So, all right, we'll bring it.
That was the Pour and Glory.
September, was it 13th?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That was
a great show.
It wasn't 7,000 people, I'll tell you that.
Well, no, but it was as many as they could fit in Pour and Glory. You filled it up for sure.
Oh,
that was a great event.
You got it right the first time.
But
couldn't have done that.
So when are you doing that again?
I talked to
200th episode.
I talked to our new sponsor, Scott at Pouring Glory.
Oh, really?
Yeah, going up there today to finalize that. But we just picked up Pouring Glory as a sponsor, and I was talking to him about next September. So we're going to do it again this year. And we're going to try to make it I'm going to take a big old deep breath for this one. We're going to try to make it bigger. We're going to do it better.
You're going to have to use that field out there beside it where the mobile podcast was parked.
This is the first time this has happened, but I just got a little bit of anxiety thinking about putting that shit together.
It's a piece of cake.
Got more time to plan for it.
Well, you can come to Springfest and learn how it's done. You can get started right now.
How do you think I ran last year? I saw how a pro does it.
Oh man,
for sure. All right, well, let's close this one out, and then I'd like to bring you back on the show to talk about Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk, our longest and our longest sponsor. I can't say like best sponsor, because then what if Wood Post Metalworks gets mad at me?
Well, they'd have to pay you more money, I would say.
Take that, Wood Post.
No.
Yeah, Wood Post Metalworks, get on the show. We need you on the Fort Worth Roots. Okay. Thank y'all for listening. Make sure you make it out to the River Oaks Springfest Car Show. It's going to be at the YMCA Camp Carter this year, and you're going to hear me talking about it nonstop on the episodes and on social media up until the day of the event. And I know that it sounded like, because Darren made it sound like it was so many people, I wouldn't even want to go. There's how many acres out there?
Oh, I don't know.
It's like
375 or something.
Yeah, approaching 400 acres out. There's so much room. Yeah. It did not look like 7,000 people were there, so I'm glad somebody was counting heads.
And we do have shuttles and all that to help people get around.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we addressed yesterday. We're going to have more of that. We've got a couple of different shuttles, a handicap bus that'll be there this time, and some limo golf carts. So
and remember,
getting around won't be an issue.
It's free. There's no reason not to come.
That's right.
All right, Darren, thank you so much. Fort Worth Roots, we will see you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Mr. Darren Houk, thank you for being back on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. I cannot say it enough how much we appreciate your support here. Sincerely, we could not do it without you. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet us out April 22nd at YMCA Camp Carter for the River Oaks Springfest Car Show. We just droned on plenty about the details, so you got all that. But it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a wonderful event. Lots of awesome people out there, cool activities, and just taking in the scenes, man. This is a beautiful little park right in the middle of Fort Worth. Once you get inside the tree line, you wouldn't even know you're inside, what is it, the 12th largest city in the U.S.? But you are, and it's beautiful. And there's going to be horses there. How cool is that? There were goats. I don't know if there's still going to be goats out there. I don't actually remember goats last season. But there's a lot I don't remember from the show, because like we talked about in the episode, myself and Darren were so damn busy. It was funny to see him running around on a golf cart because he had a radio, and everybody needed Darren's help with something. So he'd shoot across the field in a go-kart with people usually on the back, and then he'd be shooting off somewhere else, and he was just running around like a crazy person all day. So anyway, we didn't get to enjoy it a whole lot. We probably won't get to enjoy it this year either, but you can. And again, it's free. So, all right, I'll shut up about that. Come see us April 22nd. Put it on your calendar. What else? Hey, at the beginning of the episode, I don't like talking about this kind of stuff because it makes me feel kind of panhandly, but we are looking for sponsors, and I want to tell you about why it would be the greatest thing ever, the most wonderful option for your business, but I'm not going to do that here. A couple of things I will tell you is that whenever you when you advertise on a podcast, it doesn't go anywhere. You spend your money on a billboard, you spend your money on a newspaper ad, magazine, whatever they promise you, however engaged people are telling you that their audience is. Once your money's spent, it's gone. But on a podcast, it stays there forever. And Fort Worth Roots is what it is today. And we have the best, we have the greatest listeners in the entire community right here on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. But 3 years from now, there's going to be a lot more people here. And no matter how long you're a supporter of the Fort Worth Roots podcast as a sponsor, your little ad space, whenever we talk about you, it stays. It doesn't go anywhere. It stays on the server. So to me, that's the coolest thing about advertising on a podcast. But we are looking for sponsors. And if you'd like information on that and you want me to drone on about how it's the best thing ever, hit me up. Email's media@fortworthroots.com. I'm happy to answer any questions. And yeah, we're wicked cheap, so hit me up. Okay, the real sponsors, the ones that get it. Wood Post Metalworks. You can go there and use offer code podcast 817 at checkout, and you will save 10%. They specialize in metal signs with or without LED backlighting, fence and gate repair, installation, light steel fabrication, industrial plasma cutting, and more. There's a store over here in River Oaks that's not a sponsor, but they do have their stuff there. It's called Atomic Now and Then, I believe. Anyway, it's on the main drag here in River Oaks, and they've got signs in there that you can check out, custom jobbers with all sorts of cool stuff. So that's there. But you can just go online, woodpostmetalworks.com, and see everything they got. And they're local. That's what we're all about, local. HoukWalker Originals. They offer a huge variety of unique and personalized gifts. They also laser engrave to customize just about anything you got. Is that what that says? Yeah, sure. HoukWalker Originals. Find them at HoukWalker.com. Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk. You know all about this. RoofingSolutionsHouk.com is the place to go. Their phone number is 817-692-8496. And just for being a listener of the Fort Worth Roots podcast, you get 50% off a roofing tune-up. And we just did a sponsorship episode that I tried to cram in as like an extra episode. And we just talk about roofing solutions, what a roofing tune-up is, and why you need one, and why you don't want to let a stranger on your roof. That's all in that episode. So we covered that. Go check it out. That's Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk. RoofingSolutionsHouk.com, 817-692-8496. And if you've listened to the last couple of episodes, you know that we are now sponsored by Pouring Glory. We did an event out there last September. It was great. Everybody talks a big game about it, says it was wonderful and all that. And I just kind of, oh, okay, thanks, because I was the guy putting it on. So I think they're just being nice. But it was a great event. And Pouring Glory was exactly where we should have thrown this event, because it was exactly the right size. And the owner out there, Scott, is one of the nicest humans you'll ever meet anywhere. But it's good stuff. And their food is incredible. So, yeah, they're sponsors now. You can find them at 100 Bryan Avenue. If you know where Main at Southside was, if you are on that street, what is that, Main Street? And you got Mass on your left, if you take a right behind that restaurant that was on the corner there, they're behind that. And it's easy to miss this place. And I think as far as traffic coming and going out of there, their location probably has a lot to do with the days when they're really slow. But the days whenever the restaurant's just packed is because all the cool kids in town know where to get the best hamburger. And they won an award, I guess, in this last Fort Worth Weekly's Best of for best burger in town. And that's good. You know, burgers are nice. And they do have some incredible burgers, but everything coming out of that kitchen is awesome. And it's not terribly expensive. So I don't think you can get food this good at that price anywhere else in Fort Worth. I might be wrong, but go check it out anyway, and then you can make your own determination. They also do this thing on Sundays where they just close up all the gates for the patio, and they let the doggos run wild. It's a very dog-friendly place. So you got a dog, this is a place to go. Something fun to do on a Sunday. Have some good food. Drink some excellent beer off their huge wall of craft beer taps. So, anyway, shout out to Scott. Thanks for being a sponsor of the show. Again, that's over there, close to Main at Southside's old location. And if you can't find it, just open your daggum old phone, look at the maps thingy, type in Pouring Glory, it pops right up. Easy to find. And when you get in there, tell them, hey, I heard about you on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. It'll make Scott's day. It'll make my day too. So, okie dokie. Is that all the sponsors? Yep, so far. But you could be a sponsor too. Media at fortworthroots.com. Okay, what else? Events coming up. You already know about Springfest. The other thing is Psychedelic Panther. That is April 7th at Lola's. And that is going to be an excellent event. If you didn't go to last year's event, then you wouldn't know that this is probably one of the best events. It's definitely one of the best events to catch some unique and local Fort Worth and Denton music too. There's some people from out of town, but all pretty much right here in the area. Okay. What else? I think that's it. last week's episode, I decided that I was going to, at the advice of some very influential podcast people that were telling me to slow down and quit taking all the spaces out. I did that. I took all the spaces out, and I'm trying not to edit the crap out of these episodes anymore. I would like to know what you think about that, because I don't like doing that, but everybody's telling me I need to not do that. So anyway, so I've cut back a lot on the editing, and actually this episode today I only made one edit, and it's just because it was information that didn't make any sense to include in a podcast. But all right, and the hotline for the Fort Worth Roots podcast is 817-988-1292. Why do you need that? Well, it's basically just set up so that you can call and leave goofy messages, and then we'll play it back during the show. So that's why that's there. And you can use it to call me if you want to. 817-988-1292. I don't carry that phone with me. It was a very expensive phone. By the way, if you're looking for the best cell phone camera on a phone, it is the Samsung S22. That's the latest Galaxy. Unless they've already made another one. I don't know. But it's incredible. I've had people that were standing behind me at events go, holy shit, what kind of phone do you got? Because the images come in so clear from way back. It's got a 10 times optical zoom. Anyway, Samsung is not a sponsor. I just thought you should know that. Okay. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening. Every time y'all stream even one episode, it helps make this show bigger and better, and we're able to reach a broader audience. So thank you. Tell somebody about us if you love us. Share it. Share our stuff. Let people know about the Fort Worth Roots podcast. Okie dokie. That's it. I love you. I will see you next week. Peace.